Let me tell you something nobody wants to hear. You are running out of time, not in some philosophical, life is short kind of way. I mean, literally, right now, as you sit there listening to my voice, the clock is moving. And the terrifying part, you already know this. You have known it for years. You felt it in your chest at 2 in the morning when the house is quiet and there is absolutely nothing left to distract you from the truth. You are wasting your life. Not all of it. Not in some dramatic, obvious way that would force you to wake up and change. No, that would be too easy. You are wasting it slowly, quietly. In 5-minute scrolls that somehow become 45 minutes. In promises of I'll start Monday that have been recycled so many times they have lost all meaning. You are bleeding out in the invisible choices you make every single night, choices that are silently building a life you never actually chose. And here is what makes this so dangerous. You don't look like someone who is wasting time, not to the outside world. You go to work, you pay your bills, you show up, you function. And because you function, you have convinced yourself that you are fine, that you are making progress, that things will just come together eventually. But deep down, in that place, you don't let anyone see. You know something is off. You can feel it. Stay with me. Because what I am about to walk you through is going to violently rewire how you see every single hour of your day. I am going to show you the one rule the top 1% of people understand about time. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Here is the core rule you must cement into your mind right now. You must reclaim your sacred hours. I am talking about the window between 6 p.m. and midnight. Let me describe your day. Tell me if I am wrong. Your alarm goes off, and the very first thing you do before your feet even hit the floor is reach for your phone. You hand the first 20 minutes of your day to someone else's agenda. Then you get ready, you commute, and for the next 8 to 10 hours, you give your best energy, your sharpest thinking, and your absolute best focus to someone else's dream. You give it to a company, to a paycheck, to a boss who might not even remember your name in 5 years. And look, I am not saying quit your job. That is not the point. The point is, after you give your absolute best hours away to someone else's vision, what are you doing with the hours that are supposed to be yours? The trap is how you justify what happens next. You come home and you are tired. Of course you are tired. And because you are tired, you tell yourself a very specific, very dangerous lie. You tell yourself you have earned the right to shut off. You feel entitled to decompress. So you sit down, you open your laptop or pick up your phone, and you sink into that warm, comfortable fog of passive consumption. You watch, you scroll, you binge. And 2 hours disappear, then 3, then 4. Evaporated into content you will not even remember tomorrow. You treat your time like water flowing over a concrete dam. You think as long as the big reservoir, your work, your sleep is full, everything is fine, but it is the invisible cracks at the bottom of the dam that destroy the entire structure. Those little 15-minute decisions to keep scrolling, those tiny moments of mental surrender after dinner, they are draining the hours from your life drop by drop until the reservoir is completely empty. Nobody talks about this. Nobody sits you down and tells you the brutal reality. So I will. The real bleeding happens between 6 p.m. and midnight. The hours that were supposed to be your salvation became the place where your potential goes to quietly suffocate. That is where futures are either built or buried. The top 1% treat those hours like they are the most valuable currency on the planet, because they are. Everybody else treats those hours like leftover scraps, like spare change, like time that does not really count. So here is your execution plan, and you are going to do this today, not tomorrow, today. Tonight, you are going to audit your evening. The average person spends nearly 7 hours a day staring at a screen. 7 hours. That adds up to 20 years of your life poured into a glowing rectangle. Tonight, you are going to stop that bleeding. I am not asking you to build an empire by midnight. I am asking you to carve out one single, non-negotiable hour. Block it off. Protect it like your life depends on it. Because the person you are going to be in 5 years absolutely depends on what you do with that 1 hour tonight. Use it to read, use it to build, use it to plan. Do not let another night slip through the cracks. We need to talk about a word, a single word that has destroyed more dreams, killed more potential, and buried more greatness than failure ever could. If you want to stop wasting your time, you need to kill the word tomorrow. You need to rip it out of your vocabulary completely, eliminate it, treat it like a poison, because that is exactly what it is doing to your life right now. Why? Because tomorrow sounds so incredibly reasonable. It sounds responsible. Let me tell you about a guy named David. David could be anyone. If we are being brutally honest with each other, David could be you right now. He was smart, he was talented, and everybody who knew him said he had all the potential in the world. But David had a comfortable, invisible problem. He went to work, he paid his rent, and to the outside world, he seemed fine. But every single night, he would sit on his couch, look at the online course he bought 6 months ago, look at the business idea he had told all his friends about, and he would tell himself he would start tomorrow. He would set his alarm 5 minutes earlier. He would promise himself he would wake up with absolute purpose. And then tomorrow came, and it was exactly the same. The same excuses, the same routine, the same hollow promises. Not because David was lazy, not because he lacked talent, but because he lived inside that word. He built an entire existence around it. Tomorrow became his religion. It became his safety net. It became an excuse that sounded exactly like ambition. Months passed, then a year, then 2 years, then 5. David was 32 with the exact same apartment, the exact same job, the exact same couch, and the exact same tomorrow. You see, tomorrow is not a day of the week. Tomorrow is a drug. It is a highly addictive anesthetic you inject directly into your conscience to numb the pain of your own inaction today. It makes you feel productive while you are doing absolutely nothing, because it gives you the warm, comforting illusion that you are going to take real action later. But the high always wears off. The sun goes down, the clock strikes midnight, and you are left staring at the same ceiling, trapped in the same room, living the exact same day on a continuous, unbroken loop. You are medicating your guilt with a future that does not exist. Let me give it to you straight. Tomorrow is a lie dressed up as a plan. Tomorrow is the absolute favorite hiding spot of people who are secretly terrified of starting today. So how do you break the cycle? How do you shatter the loop? You do it by forcing an action tonight. You are not allowed to go to sleep until you take one single physical, messy step toward the thing you keep pushing off. I do not care if it is late. I do not care if you are exhausted. I do not care if it takes you exactly 10 minutes. Write one terrible page of that script, register the domain name, do 20 push-ups on your bedroom floor. Send the difficult email you have been avoiding for a month. It does not need to be perfect, it does not need to be profound, it just needs to be done. You break the addiction to tomorrow by doing something aggressively imperfect today. Take the step, make the mess. Start now. To permanently stop wasting your time, you must change who you are, not just what you do. Listen to me very closely on this. You do not have a discipline problem. You do not have a motivation problem. You do not have a time management problem. What you have is an identity problem. Why do your new habits always fail? Why do you constantly break the promises you make to yourself? You know the cycle perfectly. You download the productivity apps. You buy the expensive planners. You watch videos like this one, get completely fired up, and swear that things are going to be different. You grit your teeth and white-knuckle your way through 3 or 4 days of intense discipline. But why do you always slide right back to the couch? Because you are trying to change your behavior without changing your core belief about who you are. You are applying surface-level systems to a deeply rooted identity. Deep down, when no one is listening, you still tell yourself a toxic story. You say, I am just a procrastinator, or I am not a morning person, or I always lose focus when things get hard. As long as that internal code is running in the background, your mind will actively sabotage you to match it. Trying to build high-performance habits on top of a broken identity is exactly like trying to run east while your internal compass is permanently locked on west. You might force yourself forward for a day, a week, maybe even an entire month. You can sprint aggressively against the needle through sheer force of will and temporary motivation. But eventually, you will get tired. The willpower will inevitably fade, and the overwhelming, crushing magnetic pull of who you actually think you are will drag you right back to where you started. Behavior that contradicts your identity will never last. Never. You cannot be kind of a new person. You are either the person on the couch or the person building at 10 o'clock at night. So I need you to hear this truth, and I need you to let it burn. Every single night, when you sit down on that couch and pick up your phone, you are not making a choice about what to do. You are making a choice about who to be. Every wasted hour is a ballot. And you have been voting consistently, relentlessly, for years for the version of yourself that stays exactly the same. You have elected the version of you that consumes instead of creates. That election ends today. Here is your execution plan. You must kill the old story. You must delete the broken operating system tonight. Grab a physical piece of paper right now. Not your digital notes, a real piece of paper. You are going to write down one single sentence. One aggressive, unbending declaration of who you are becoming. Not a wish, not a distant goal, a concrete identity. Write down, I am the person who uses every hour with intention, or I am a creator and I do not surrender my time. Read it, say it out loud. It is going to create tension in your chest because it is not fully true yet, but it will be. Put that paper where you will see it every evening. The next time you feel the urge to vanish into a screen, you do not ask yourself if you should take a break. You ask yourself, is this what a creator does? You stop managing time and you start voting for the new you. You have to learn how to build in the dark. If you want to separate yourself from the masses, if you want to become the rare 1%, you have to master the lonely, unglamorous art of working when absolutely nobody is watching. Why do so many people fail at this? Would you believe me if I told you it has nothing to do with a lack of talent? They fail because they have been poisoned by the need for an audience. They start strong. They get a burst of manic energy. They make the big announcement. They post their grand plans for the world to see, and they sit back waiting for the applause. They expect a standing ovation just for showing up at the starting line. But what happens when the applause stops? What happens when the likes dry up, the comments fade, and the world moves on to the next distraction? I will tell you what happens. When the external validation disappears, their internal drive completely collapses. You have been conditioned to perform. You want the dramatic movie montage. You want immediate results. You want to see the physical change after 1 week, the financial freedom after 1 month, and when you look in the mirror after sweating in the dark, and you see absolutely zero evidence of progress, what do? You quit. You tell yourself it is not working. You tell yourself the game is rigged. But let us be brutally honest. You are lying to yourself. You are quitting because it got boring. You are quitting because the work is lonely. You are quitting because nobody is patting you on the back. Think about a thick pane of tempered glass. You take a hammer and you strike it once, nothing happens. You strike it 10 times, nothing. You strike it 99 times, swinging with everything you have, and the glass looks exactly the same as it did before you started. Most people drop the hammer right there at strike 50. They walk away complaining that the glass is indestructible. But what they do not see, what they cannot comprehend, is the microscopic hairline fracture forming deep beneath the surface. That fracture is completely invisible to the naked eye, but it is there. It is growing silently, multiplying with every single repetitive, boring strike. And then, on the 100th swing, the entire pane shatters into 1,000,000 pieces. The outside world will look at that final swing and call it an overnight success. They will call it luck. They never saw the 99 invisible blows in the dead of night. Listen to me, and listen to me closely. Consistency beats intensity every single time. It does not matter how hard you can sprint on a random Tuesday when you feel inspired. It only matters whether you can drag yourself to the work on a cold, quiet Thursday night when nobody cares, nobody is clapping, and your own mind is screaming at you to stop. Here is your execution plan. Tonight, you are going to strip away the need for validation. You are going to go completely dark. You are not going to post about your goals. You are not going to tell your friends. You commit to one boring, highly focused, unglamorous 20-minute block of pure work. Set a timer. Put your phone in another room. Sit with the blank screen or the difficult problem, and you strike the glass. You might not see a single result today. That is exactly the point. You are building the fracture. Stop waiting for the world to applaud you for doing what you are supposed to do. Pick up the hammer, step into the dark, and swing. You must stop volunteering for the algorithm. If you want to take your life back, you have to sever the digital cord that is quietly bleeding you dry. Right now, you are walking into a trap every single evening, and you do not even realize it is happening. You come home exhausted, you collapse onto your couch, you pull out your glowing screen, and you tell yourself that you are finally relaxing, you believe you are resting. You actually think that scrolling through an endless feed of strangers is self-care. It is not. You are not resting. Your attention is being violently harvested. On the other side of that screen are thousands of the smartest, highest paid engineers on the planet, sitting in glass buildings, working tirelessly with one singular objective: to keep you scrolling. They do not care about your sleep. They do not care about your family. They do not care about the business you want to build or the person you desperately want to become. They have engineered a psychological slot machine built on dopamine loops, designed to keep you numb enough to stay on the couch and awake enough to keep swiping. And the most terrifying part? You are completely unaware of it. You are exactly like a fish that does not know it is swimming in water. The water is everywhere. It surrounds you, it dictates your movements, it shapes your entire reality, but you cannot even see it because it is all you have ever known. We have completely normalized this digital trance. We watch people sitting at dinner tables, staring at their laps. We see families in the same room, light glowing on their faces, entirely disconnected from reality. You think it is just the way the world is now. You think a 7-hour screen time average is just modern life. It is not. It is a mass hypnosis. And you are a willing participant. Listen to me and do not look away. We are living through the greatest theft of human time in the history of civilization. And nobody is holding a gun to your head. You are handing over the most precious, finite resource you possess, your time, completely voluntarily. You are trading years of your life for cheap, fleeting hits of dopamine that leave you feeling hollow, anxious, and deeply unfulfilled by midnight. You are trading your actual future for a digital illusion. So how do we stop the bleeding? How do we break the trance? You do not negotiate with the algorithm, because the algorithm will always win. You must enforce physical separation. This is your execution plan. Tonight at 9 o'clock, your phone goes into another room, not face down on the coffee table, not on the nightstand next to your bed, another room, out of sight, out of reach, completely removed from your physical environment. No exceptions, no excuses about needing it for an alarm clock. Buy a cheap digital clock. When you separate yourself physically from the device, the spell breaks. The panic will set in for the first 10 minutes. Your brain will scream for the dopamine. Let it scream. Sit in the quiet. Reclaim your environment. Because you cannot build a legendary life while your mind is held hostage in a digital cage. You must attach your hours to a fire. If you want to stop dragging yourself through your days, if you want to operate on a completely different level than the rest of the world, you have to find the thing that burns. Why do you show up at your job every single day, even when you are exhausted? Why do you hit the deadlines? Why do you power through the meetings? Because you are operating from external obligation. You do it because the alarm tells you to. You do it because the boss demands it. You do it because there are immediate painful consequences if you fail. But obligation is a fragile fuel. It can get you through a shift, it can get you through a week, but obligation absolutely cannot build a legendary life. The moment that external pressure disappears, The moment you walk through your front door at 6 in the evening, you completely collapse. Left to your own devices, without a boss breathing down your neck, your default setting is always comfort, always the couch, always the screen. Let me tell you about Maria. Maria was a single mother working a grueling 10-hour customer service job. Every night, she came home completely drained and lost herself in her phone for hours. She was running purely on obligation. But one night, the pain of staying the same became greater than the pain of change. She started using her 2 hours after her kids went to sleep to learn design. Slowly, quietly, she built a small business. But the real shift, the absolute fire, did not happen until month 9. Her 7-year-old daughter watched her working at the kitchen table and said, "I want to make things too." In that exact second, Maria stopped running on discipline and started running on purpose. She realized she was not just building a business, she was building a blueprint for her daughter's entire life. When you operate without purpose, you are like a lighthouse, standing on the edge of a jagged cliff with the light completely turned off. You have the structure, you have the height, you have the capacity to guide ships through the storm, but you are standing there in the pitch black, completely useless, while people out in the water are desperately searching for proof that they can survive. Your kids are watching you. Your siblings are watching you. Your friends, the ones trapped in the exact same cycles you are in, they are watching you in the dark. They are waiting for you to flip the switch and prove to them that change is actually possible. Listen to me. Purpose doesn't care about your schedule. Purpose doesn't wait for the alarm. Purpose is the ruthless, unyielding force that pulls you off the mattress at 5 in the morning when every single cell in your body is begging for sleep. Purpose is what makes you sit at a quiet desk at midnight, because the thing you are building matters more than the temporary comfort you are giving up. Here is your execution plan. Tonight, you are going to identify exactly who is watching you. You are going to find the reason that makes your comfort look incredibly cheap. Grab a pen and write down the name of the person whose life changes when you finally decide to win. Is it your daughter? Is it your younger brother? Is it the future version of your family name? Write the name down. Stare at it. Let the weight of their eyes hit you. When you attach your work to their face, the exhaustion fades, the excuses evaporate. You ignite the fire and you burn the excuses to the ground. You must confront the brutal math of your own existence. If you want to stop the bleeding, if you want to permanently shift into the top 1%, you have to look your own mortality dead in the eye and stop pretending you are going to live forever. The ultimate trap. The reason you feel so comfortable putting things off is because the days keep resetting. You wake up, the sun rises, the clock starts over, and you unconsciously trick yourself into believing that your time also resets. You operate under the devastating illusion that because a new day arrives every morning, you have an infinite supply of them. So you delay, you coast, you put your goals on hold because you feel rich with time. But let me tell you the absolute truth. You are not rich. You are slowly bankrupting yourself, one wasted evening at a time, spending a currency you can never earn back. Imagine a bank account that only allows withdrawals. There are absolutely no deposits allowed, no loans, no grace periods. Every single morning, a specific amount is automatically taken out of the account, whether you spend it wisely or throw it directly into the trash. You cannot pause the withdrawals. You cannot ask the bank for an extension. You just have to sit there and watch the balance drop day after day until it hits zero. Would you throw that money away on mindless entertainment? Would you hand it over to strangers on the internet who do not care about you? Of course you would not. You would protect every single cent. But that is exactly what you are doing with your life. You are treating the most valuable asset in the universe like it is absolutely worthless. Listen to me. Every minute you waste is a minute permanently subtracted from whatever is left. And time never, not once, not ever gives you a refund. You get roughly 25,000 days on this earth. That is the average human lifespan. 25,000 sunrises, 25,000 chances to build something, to love someone, to create a life that actually matters. If you are 30 years old right now, you have already spent nearly 11,000 of those days. They are gone. You cannot get them back. And every single day you spend scrolling, numbing, and drifting is another day permanently subtracted from the balance. Here is your execution plan. I want you to stop negotiating with your mortality. Right now, tonight, you are going to calculate your remaining days. Take your current age, multiply it by 365, and subtract that number from 25,000. I want you to look at that final number. Look at exactly how many days you have left in the account. Write that number down on a physical piece of paper and tape it to your bathroom mirror. Tape it to the ceiling directly above your bed. Let that number stare back at you every single morning and every single night. Let the cold reality of that math send a shock wave through your entire system. You do not have time to wait until you feel ready. You do not have time to wait until Monday. The clock is moving right now. The balance is dropping. Stop acting like you have an eternity to figure this out.